welcome to another episode of A Nanny's Life podcast. I'm so happy you came to join us today. And we starting off real strong celebrating Black History Month with a guest who is fairly new to the realm of social media nanniness, but she's got a lot to say. Okay, guys, this is really going to be a good episode. I'm so excited to welcome Simone to the potty. Hey, friend.
Hey, friend, thank you so much for having me. I just have to say that like told you earlier, you were one of the first nannies that I actually found on Instagram through hashtags. And I saw you had a podcast, and I was like, oh, one day I would love to be on the podcast. And almost a year later, it's happening. Full
Today's the
circle
day.
moment. So thank you so much.
Of course. I'm so excited. I remember when you reached out and I was like, this is such a dope concept. Like, how have we not done this before? So, thank you for being here. We'll get into that in a little bit, but first, we're going to break the ice. We're going to
Yes.
start with a segment we call How Do You Do? And basically, this segment is where we kind of compare notes as nannies because we go through similar experiences, but we don't always do things the same way. So, I love asking people how they manage certain aspects of nanny life. And for you, friend, I would like to know, how do you go about selecting a family to work with? And particularly, what are the green flags that you notice in the interview process that help you realize this might be a good fit?
That's a really great question. And I think you need to keep that question going because a lot of us focus on the red flags and
Mm,
not enough on the green. I think for me, I really like to understand the family for their core values and who they are. I like to be aligned. I like to be able to connect with them on another level, not just, professionally as far as like, okay, you're going to do this routine with the kids, X, Y, and Z. It's like, who are you? What's your background? Where are you from? I like to really understand their family culture and their dynamic. And I think that is where you find a great balance of flow. And for me, all of my families have been more than just professional. It's really been a family oriented lifestyle, but I keep it very professional as well. But I want the children to feel really safe and to feel like I'm an extension of their parents. And so, like I said, I really feel like understanding their family culture is a big green flag for me.
yeah, even them mentioning their culture
Yeah.
dynamic or family dynamic and understanding how to convey that to someone else. That's a good green flag. I like that.
Yeah. And I also really enjoy families who support the nanny as a person, not just as an entity for their family gain. I
Mm-hmm.
love when they're like, so what do you do? What do you like to do? Do you have any passion projects? What are your career goals? I think it really speaks to the respect that they have for nannies as people.
Wow, that's a good one. Like as humans and not just
Yes,
robots and not just what we can do
exactly.
for them. Oh, good. These are good green flags. I
You
will
know,
add, if it's
hmm
okay, another green flag is not to make it about money, but when they already say, so we're going to do a W, we're going to do things above
hmm
board. Because
yes,
too many interviews, families will be like, so how do you like to be paid? And it's like, what do you mean? There are laws determining how I should be paid.
right. And I think that's a big one. And I think that's something that I've seen a lot of talk about is
Hmm.
nannies being paid legally and being treated well as far as their benefits.
Hmm.
There's a difference between babysitting and nannying. And I think some families aren't completely educated in that. And so I'm really proud of our community for forming a boundary and being very clear in who we are and what we do and saying, no, this is our career and we deserve rights as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. So yeah, families, if y'all are listening, on the off
Mhm.
chance that y'all are listening, these are the things that we need to see in
And
the
it's,
interview
it's tax
process.
season. So,
I know it is that time. And it breaks my heart every year to see
hmm
so many people be like, what do I do? I never got paid on
right.
the books. They said they would, they never got around to it. Like, now what? It's.
Right. And that would be a great conversation. I mean, I'm not super well versed in taxes, but to have as a conversation of like, all right, it's almost tax season. This is how you go about filing or having that conversation with your family, almost like a nanny masterclass on taxes.
Yeah, we need it.
I'm
We
like, if
do need
there's
it.
an accountant nanny, someone that specializes in math and taxes, we would love to talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to get that going for sure.
You know what? We
Okay,
can make that work on the Black Nanny Network, and then we can work together.
listen,
That would be a great class.
I'm with
Great
it.
resource.
I'm with it. Absolutely agree. Okay, so the next segment that we do
Hmm.
is called Nannies Need Nanny Friends, because you know that's something that I say a
Mm,
lot because I feel like we
yes.
need each other. I feel like it's really, really hard to function without one another. And
Right.
anywho, in this industry, we
Hmm.
tend to make connections, and sometimes they are seasonal, sometimes they are for a specific reason, like play dates, and sometimes
Right.
they endure beyond even that. So I wanted to ask you, Simone, do you prefer friends when you're making nanny friends? That is
Hmm.
your intention. Do you prefer to make friends who you can work with specifically, or friends that you can hang with afterward?
I like making nanny friends who I can work with. I mean, I would love to see them obviously off the clock. I think it's always a different dynamic. But, I've worked in, I think, a pretty isolated spaces for a few years. Not recently because I nanny school age kids. So they're like my friends. So we're doing stuff. And I actually become friends with a lot of the parents, because I'm very involved and I'm
Hmm.
like, my name is Simone and I'm with the kid. Like they see me. I've been there for almost 4 years. But I'm like, I really enjoy going to play dates though, because I'm like, oh, their nanny's going to be there. Like, we can have a conversation. So, yeah, my answer is long story short, nannies while working. It's
I
also nice
like
to get
it.
a checkup, like, hey, how you doing? How are you feeling? But when I lived in Paris, I didn't have any nanny friends. I was very much by myself, and same in COVID, right? Like, no nanny friends,
Mhm.
no play dates. So it's really freeing to be able to build connections outside of my four walls, learn about different nannies and their techniques and how, their schedules and how they live and, their families' lives. It's really exciting to see different dynamics.
Yeah, and it really is nice when you make local nanny friends and sort of
Yes.
have that, reliable playmate, right? Even for your
Mm-hmm.
nanny kids. Like, I've had friends that where my kids ask me for the friend before they want to talk to me. Like, they're like, "Are we gonna go see this one today? Are we gonna go hang out with them?" and stuff like that. And it really does help you create that coworker atmosphere. I
Exactly.
Yeah, that's nice. That's
And
really, really
shout out to the
nice.
parents too that like talk to me and get to know me. So I think that's really
Listen, because
important. I feel,
that doesn't always happen, friend.
yeah,
That's
I
not
feel
always
very,
the
very
case.
fortunate. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another, like, to go back to what we were talking about earlier, a green flag. It's not in the
Mm-hmm.
interview process, but when I meet friends of my bosses and they treat me like a human,
Yes.
major green flag,
And
because I
they
know that
introduce
this is
you.
yeah, so I know that this is really who y'all are. This You weren't just
Yes.
putting on for the interview or, being polite for the sake of getting someone hired. You really are
Yes.
decent people. So,
I think
yeah.
like I said, okay, going back to the green flag, the dad that I work with, he always says like, "This is Simone. She works with us,
Mm,
and she helps keep it together." Same with the mom. She's like, she keeps our lives together, and that feels so good to me. Just to know that I am actively appreciated
mm.
and that I am helpful and that I'm more than just like a fly on the wall, like, okay, you did your job, goodbye. Like, you don't need to know who this is. Because I've been in those spaces before, but I just really feel valued. And like when I see other parents or family members, even, I feel like part of the family. I feel like I belong in that space outside of working
Yeah, that the simple, like, the word choice, "She works with us,"
with.
not
Mm-hmm.
"She works for us," That's
Mm-hmm.
huge. I like that.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one
Green
too.
flag,
Yeah, for
the verbiage.
sure, for sure. We don't hear that nearly enough. Okay, so for the next segment, I call it
Mm-hmm.
nanny goals or nanny no-no. Basically, looking at some of these social media nannies or occurrences on social media that involve nannies and trying to bring a little bit of reality to it, because I think sometimes the perception or the image that is put out on social media can romanticize what we do almost to an extreme sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is not a specific occurrence. This is not a specific influencer or anything like that. But there is a trend lately with influencers just getting a website and having a social media platform and giving a lot of advice. And sometimes to the point where they are selling. this advice. They are selling scripts for how to talk to bosses, they are selling contracts and things of that nature, and basically building a brand off of telling nannies how to nanny and telling parents how to interact with nannies. How do you feel about this wave? Like what are your thoughts and opinions on this?
Yeah, well, it's being relatively new to this world and really diving into it. Like I just made a TikTok last week. So, I'm like now seeing a lot of the highly, what is the word, opinionated people.
Mhm.
I personally will never claim myself to be an expert because I feel like I don't have the right to tell you exactly what to do because there's no guarantee that my way of doing it is going to get you what you want.
Mhm.
You know, I don't
Mhm.
believe in selling opinions. That's not my
Mm,
thing. But if it's theirs, they should go off. You know what I mean? Enjoy, capitalize. But personally, for my values, it's not something that I think I would do just because, I mean, I understand the contracts. I think it's important to have a template, but I really also think that it's important to have coaching and mentorship, and it shouldn't come at a cost. You know what I mean? I think that the whole reason behind community, and we can go into this later, is to have access to free resources. And it's like there's no hierarchical tier to nannying or this person is right because they work with so and so, but they've only nannied for 2 years, or their
mm,
pay grade is this, so you're guaranteed to make six figures if you follow these steps. We don't know what the other person is thinking, right? And then that also may not innately be who we are. So you could be selling something and I don't align with it, and you're saying, no, but this is going to get you six figures. Am I compromising my values just to get six figures? You
mm.
know, it's, I never push anything on anybody. So I truly believe that you have to follow your intuition, ask for advice, and seek people who are genuinely wanting to help.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
But
the selling opinions, you messed me up
mm,
with that one because it ultimately is your opinion because your experience is to an like, even if you have lots of experience in this industry, your
right,
experience is limited to the people you've interacted with, the people you've encountered, and
right.
all too often, I see nannies being like, "So I bought this guide or I bought this ebook or this class, and now I'm gonna go out and make six figures," and it doesn't happen like that for them,
Hmm.
and then they're heartbroken, and it's either they're upset that they paid for it or they're upset with themselves, like, as if they think it's them, and what you said about coaching and mentorship is so real because there has to be an exchange of information, an exchange of
Absolutely.
ideas and background and all that to really come to a place where you could even advise someone for anything.
Yeah,
Like you need to know where they're working. You need to know what sort of parents they're looking to work for. You need to know what
yeah,
sort of work they do in the home. Like you need to know there's so many factors that go into determining your rates and what's fair and what's
absolutely.
equitable and all those things. And I love your answer. I love what you said.
I just really hope that our industry doesn't begin to build on gatekeeping. I just feel like when it comes to child development, when it comes to nannying, there should not be any gatekeeping because we are literally an extension of parenting and we're only elevating and amplifying our children to become better,
Mm,
the children that we work with. So it's like, why would I buy a guide for $10 when I can listen to my intuition for free?
mm. There's also that. That's yeah.
There's that, but it's like you're in this space for a reason, so you have to trust yourself and know that no, you don't have all the answers, but you're working towards it, and you can ask questions for people that truly want to help you, rather than saying, "Hey, buy my guide for $10 and I'll tell you the answers," but you don't even know what the answers are.
Mhm.
So I think that nannies, we got to tap into our intuition. We have to really trust our abilities. We are given this gift for a reason, so we have to go after it. We have to, like I said, trust ourselves and build upon that concept.
Yeah, totally agree, wholeheartedly. And if you wanna make a guide for parents, make a guide for families,
Yes,
agencies, daycare centers, schools. Make a guide for people with the budget, not nannies who are fighting to make a living wage. That's
exactly. I 100%
yeah.
agree with that because I think nannies need a safe space. And
Mhm.
I think the market to capitalize is educating people who need care.
Mhm. Mhm. Yep, agreed.
I'm glad we're in agreement.
Yeah. I'm loving this so far. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty.
Okay.
Simone, you are the founder of the Black Nanny Network, and we're gonna
Yes.
tell the people all about that, but first, I wanna know about you. I wanna know how you got into this nanny space to begin with.
That is, I can make a little side money. And I actually found my first family that I was working with pretty consistently, and I fell in love with them. And they're two boys, and it's an incredible family. And it really just made me feel good to just, even after school, like hang out with them. I was with, I think the baby was 1 and the older brother was 6. So it was a great combo, and they got along well. And after that, I decided to move to Paris, France, and be an au pair. And I got a real world experience on not only living abroad, but living in. And I learned about the cultural dynamics and understanding family boundaries and rules and learning the beautiful culture of France and also their family culture, as well as just learning who I was. And I think that's what really sparked my nannying career is really becoming an au pair. And yeah, then I moved to LA.
That's so cool, first of all. I read that on your website, and I was like, "Oh my goodness," like, you just jumped up and went, and that was
No, literally jumped up and went. Which is like the funniest thing because even with the Black Nanny Network, I was like, I'm gonna just create it. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Like some people are very methodical, they do their research, and I'm like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be an au pair. And I just told myself that. Like I told people, I was like, I'm gonna be an au pair. I'm going to France after I graduate. Didn't have a family, didn't have my profile, didn't have the flight booked, but I believed in myself and I knew it was gonna happen. So when I was at another babysitting job, New Year's Eve, I made my profile. And then the following month I found my family.
Wow, you've manifested that thing.
Manifested, but it was the best thing I could have done for myself.
That's dope. Oh, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Okay, now let's talk about the network. What
Yeah.
exactly inspired you to create this network? And if you could, in a few words, share the vision of the
Yeah.
Black Nanny Network.
So it was really a call to action, I think, for me to find community. Selfishly, I wanted to connect. I felt really isolated. I'm in Los Angeles, and I think, I mean, I wasn't big on social media or on TikTok, so maybe I could have found my community faster. But I really wanted a space where I could find Black women in childcare and connect to them. Excuse me. And so, what the Black Nanny Network is a platform that encourages and empowers women through wellness resources and community and connection, and especially conversation. And we are pouring in to Black childcare providers so that they're not only their best selves in their profession, but their best selves in general, in life, in who they are, right? We want to pour into their cup because they pour into others every day.
I love it so much. Oh my goodness. And if you could speak to, because
Yes,
everybody's going to ask, why a Black Nanny Network specifically?
I think our community needs a network because we need a space where we can speak freely without feeling muzzled by judgment, where we can come to a space and begin our healing and release any sort of shame that we have around a certain narrative or opinions. And we can really celebrate ourselves in joy and reclaim our power. And I think that it is important for Black people to have a safe community, to have resources, and to be around people that look like one another in the same industry. I know for me, my nannying life is different than my counterpart, my white counterpart. And so I need someone to talk to that can understand without having me to explain.
Hmm.
And I think that's a really, really heavy topic. I don't have to unpack because you already know, if that makes sense. And
Oh,
I think it's something
100%.
that's also very beautiful. It's like, why not? Right? I'm not saying that we're exclusive, but this is inclusive for women of color. You know, I'm happy to join, to bring allies in to speak or to understand or to listen. But this is a very sacred space, and I want to continue to amplify and elevate women of color in this industry.
I love it. I love it. And I listen, I wanted to give you the opportunity to say it in your words,
Thank you.
but, like, it is so important. The same way that nannies need nanny friends, Black nannies need Black nanny friends because it
Yeah.
is just a different connection to the work that we're doing, a different tone.
Mhm.
It's a different environment for us. I mean, someone
Yeah,
could do the exact job that I do for 6 months, and if they don't look like me, they're not gonna have my experience, and like you said, being able to talk to someone about something without having to understand, "Okay, before I tell you this story, let me give you this disclaimer, this disclaimer, this disclaimer," like
exactly. And Black nannies and nannies in general deserve to be seen, heard, and known, not just acknowledged, known. They
mm,
deserve to have that seat at the table. And so that's what I'm trying to provide.
yeah, I love it. I love it. I'm very when you first reached out about the Black Nanny Network, I was like,
Mhm.
"How does this not already exist?"
Right.
Because somehow we're in an industry where women of color are still somehow the foot soldiers and the vast majority of leadership of agencies, of
Hmm.
associations, of all of the sorts are just white. And
Yes.
it's hard to understand for me
Hmm.
personally, and even more so hard to contend with. Like, I think a lot of us just, we're like, if we don't belong here, then we just don't belong anywhere. We'll just keep working kind of solo dolo. So I love that the Black Nanny Network exists because we're gonna have a space where we can really, talk about these subjects, help build each other up, without all the
And as
eggshells to walk on.
and and as uncomfortable it may feel, these conversations need to be had. So if somebody that's not Black wants to listen in, I welcome that. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And it's not
Absolutely.
comfortable for us to speak about sometimes because sometimes it's better just to stay stagnant and to keep going without speaking up for ourselves. But I believe that there's no change without a voice and there's no voice without change. You know what I mean? Like we have to continue to, press against the grain, to move forward, to lead by example because when we have children, we would want this resource.
Mhm.
So it's like, why not make it now while we're still in this field, while we can gather all the information, while we can come together? This is a free resource for anybody that I'm trying to build. And really, I'm just the catalyst for this community. The women of color, the Black nannies, the childcare specialists, and doulas, and NCSs, and psychologists, and educators, you guys are the stars. You guys are what matters. You guys make the network. And so, how beautiful is it to say that we did that? You know what I mean? And I don't want to take credit for it because I'm not just the expert, right? I'm just solely placing this foundation, this network in place so that we can all create it together.
Yeah, I'm so happy. Oh, love this.
I'm happy too.
I wanna ask you
Yes,
what your
ma'am.
experience has been kind of dipping your toe into this space of really intentionally connecting with other nannies, networking, sort of navigating this nanny society that we have going on and, you know, finding a spot for the Black Nanny Network. And how has that process been for you?
I think it's been good because I mean, I'm very personal, so I will reach out directly. I think where I have a hard time is connecting with people in nanny Facebook groups. I find myself my publishing stuff or my notes to sometimes just be pending
Mm,
or to get declined for I don't know if it's controversial. For instance, like with the book club that we'll talk about later, some of the spaces did not accept my post, which is simply just like announcing the Black Nanny Network is launching a book club, right? And so I think I'm going to ruffle feathers. I think this is going to frustrate people, but I don't care,
mhm,
right? Like this is important to us. So I think putting myself on that bigger platform, because there are some Facebook groups that have 16,000 people, you're innately going to get 5,000 haters probably, right? But you're going to get one that's like, absolutely, yes, I want to join your group. And I'm okay with that. But reaching out to people personally has been very successful. And I think that it's kind of trickled down like from word of mouth of like, oh, like what's Black Nanny Network? Is it an agency? Is it this? And I'm like, Actually, it's for nannies. I want to pour into nannies. One day we can talk about the extension of becoming an agency, but I don't have the bandwidth, right? Like right now, I'm
Yeah.
focusing on building resources, creating connection, and I would love to bring some people on that are equally as passionate because I know I'm not the only one with ideas. Like I want to know what's missing. Where's the gap? What needs to be communicated to families, agencies, churches, like you said? What needs to be communicated to nannies? Like how can we create like this incredible network so even people in Paris, Germany, Black nannies in, Spain, au pairs, they can be like, oh my God, like I feel like I'm at home because I'm tapped in with this network,
Yes. Sorry.
you
I'm
know?
just like
I know.
loving this so, so
It's like,
much.
I love when people are like, what is Black Nanny Network? Because it's like people don't really know, but then they guess, and then they finally like meet me and they're like, oh, like that's what it is. Cool, I can get behind it, especially when you're a nanny. It's like, I do need that. So of
Hmm.
course I'm going to support it, right? And like I said, this is all free. Like nothing costs money. Like this is something that I just want people to be a part of.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that you mentioned reaching out directly works well because I think we really underestimate the power of
Mm-hmm.
one-on-one connection. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you know, if you have a question about something specific that you're going through, but you don't want everyone to know your business, so then you make an anonymous post on
Mm-hmm.
this huge group with 16,000 members when you could just reach out to one individual person
Mm-hmm.
and see if they're open, for a
Yeah.
conversation. And that's how you build community. It's one at a time. It's not like being like this one big event that everyone has to come to, because otherwise you don't have an actual connection. You
Yes.
just have something in common, right?
I
You
agree. And
want to
I think
actually
connection,
connect. Yeah.
yeah, and I agree. I think that connection is the common thread of humanity. It's like without it, we saw what it did to us in COVID, how isolated we were, how depressed we were. So if I'm searching for answers and I don't have them, honestly, I'm going to go to somebody else that I trust that does. And that's connection, right?
Hmm.
Or if I just need a hug, or if I just need to understand something that I'm not quite getting, reaching out to somebody, that's connection, right? And somebody reaching back and saying, I got you. And I think that, especially in this nanny industry, we need to have those kinds of resources and community, that kind of community in place because it's a very emotional, mental, and physically taxing position. And
Yeah.
I feel like if you've never been a nanny, you've never been a childcare provider, you don't understand the day to day and the mental strength that you have to gain to be in this field.
Yeah. It really is something you have to experience to understand. I agree.
Hmm.
Similar to being Black in America. Um,
Right.
and, I wanted to ask this question of you specifically because
Hmm.
we don't talk about this a lot openly,
Right.
but as Black nannies in America, we are
Hmm.
sometimes considered, even by our family, our friends, our local community,
Yeah.
our work is considered serving our masters.
Mm.
Do you have anything to say in response to that? How does it even make you feel to hear it put like that?
It makes me cringe because I think it triggers something in me that was embedded in my ancestor who didn't have a choice but to watch children or to be a wet nurse. Today, we have the choice to be that. And I find it an intergenerational strength that my ancestors placed in me to have the innate ability and capability to look after kids. So the fact that people are still using that verbiage is insulting. And it's our duty as Black nannies and educators to educate them because it's a simple word switch. She works with us instead of she works for us. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
I'm empowering this person, I'm disempowering this person. And so for anybody that sees it as a I'm serving my master, I'd love to have a conversation. I would love to have a conversation. Or we can have a roundtable talk and post it somewhere because That verbiage has to be dismantled because this is all by choice. And I feel like we are honoring our ancestors who did not have that choice. And I think it's a beautiful legacy that we have carried, that we have that maternal bone, because not a lot of people were placed with parental intuitive knowledge. We were.
Yeah, I had a conversation some years back sort of about being a Black nanny,
Yeah.
and I was saying I did used to carry shame
Right.
because, it's kind of indoctrinated in you. Like, you don't
Mm.
go get a degree and then take care of someone's kids. It's just not
Yeah,
something you do. It's not
absolutely.
honorable. It's not white collar enough. Like, it's not,
Hmm.
and I had a rough couple years because, I was a good student and I went to Duke University and I graduated barely. And, people were expecting so much of me.
Hmm.
And I didn't leave college with the intention to become a nanny, but I fell into it and I really loved it and it really filled my cup. And I literally had to grapple with knowing I would have to be, well, not have to, but I would be expected to explain it to people
Right.
because why would you, as opposed to why not?
Yeah.
And I found myself having conversations with older people and
Hmm.
I would tell them, listen, I'm turning lemons into legacy. Like,
Oh,
everybody is not
lemons
able.
into legacy. Yeah,
Yes, everybody can't.
that's
My mom
beautiful.
was in there innately good with kids. Her aunt was
Right.
innately good with kids. Like, it's just
Yeah.
in us. And why would I not take my natural gifts, make a living, build a
Hmm.
life, and be proud
Right.
of that? Why does there have to be shame attached to it?
Right.
But it's still a conversation,
It's still a
unfortunately,
conversation.
in
It is.
2020, and I can't wait till we get to a point where it's not even a thing,
Yeah. And
if
that's
ever.
one thing I will credit social media for is actually they were, you know, given the spotlight to explain and to show people like this is a day into, day in
Mhm,
a life, or this is what we do. And you're able to understand like, oh, this is actually like a career. And I guarantee you that anybody who's a nanny could get a like high quality job in management, project management, like whatever they want it to be, because not just project management, but you understand in managerial positions, high managerial positions, because we literally manage the lives of others.
mhm,
You know, our gifts and our traits and our skills can transfer into an incredible corporate job, consulting, owning your own agency, higher education, psychology, communications, right? Like health
mhm,
and nonprofit work, all of these things that we can attribute to our to nannying, to a
mhm.
season of our life if we choose to move on, right? The world is really endless for us. And I think it's sad that people look down on our career path because it's like we're raising the next generation. We're helping, improve the quality of lives. It's really interesting. I've gotten a lot of times like, "Oh, you just watch kids for a living," or how are you still babysitting?" And I just said, "Oh, yes, I'm still nannying, and it's very rewarding. Thank you so much." Right? Because they don't understand nor have the capacity to understand. And if 2 plus 2 is 5 to them, I'm gonna let them think it's 5 because I know what it is to me. Okay? Like
Yes.
I'm not in the business of arguing or trying to prove my worth to someone
Yeah.
who doesn't see it.
Mhm, mhm. And it's so funny because when you tell people I have classmates, like, from college, and they're all,
Hmm.
in their big kid jobs
Right.
or whatever, but if I tell them what my day looks like, or if I give them a scenario and ask them to figure it out to solve the problem, I don't care if
Hmm.
it's, keeping the baby awake in the carpool line so she can get a full nap at home or figuring out how to feed the kids when the kitchen is closed. When I give them scenarios, they're like, I don't know."
Right.
So it's like, okay, awesome. There is a reason why I'm good at what I do, you know?
You're excellent at what you do, and you've honestly made an incredible platform for yourself. And you should be so proud that you're hosting a podcast and bringing awareness to our lives, and you're transparent about what you do and who you are and the life that you lead in your job and outside of it and how you balance it so beautifully. I think you should give yourself your flowers, right? Because not everybody wants to do that and can do that. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you are using your degree. I don't know what it's in, whether you know it or not. It's
Developmental
in there.
psychology. No, I know I use there's no, listen to me. There is no way I would still be in this field or doing as well as I do without that
Right.
degree. The amount of brain work of just figuring out, okay, I have to anticipate
Hmm.
this mood over here and this mood over here, and I have to
Yeah.
keep this mood. I have to talk to a parent. This is the
Hmm.
thing. Being able to talk to a parent and tell them something that is inherently disappointing, right? Like we
Yeah.
didn't get the nap today, or we didn't try that new food, or we didn't achieve this milestone. Being able to communicate that in a way that does not leave them sad and disappointed, and,
Right.
being able to encourage them through parenthood, being able to
Yes.
manage these relationships that kids have with one another, like siblings and then
Yeah.
also friend, like it's the psychology degree, it was worth it. I'm still paying
Right.
for
And
it, but it was worth it.
look, and I love that because you're using a strength-based perspective, right? And you're capitalizing on the strength. And even though it might be a little disappointing for them to hear, you have the ability to reword it in a space where it's like, oh, there's room for improvement, rather than like, dang, my kid didn't do this. Or you understand theories and the stages that they're in, right? And like you can apply Brofenbrenner and Erickson, all of these things and understand, oh, this is, bigger than this action here, what's affecting their macrosystem or their mesosystem or their microsystem? What are certain things like, what stage are they in right now? It's like you can really depict and identify and break down where they are in child development. And I think that's amazing, especially when it comes to psychology, because that degree is so, so important, especially in today's age. So you can almost prevent something before it happens.
Yep, that's a thing too. Like, and it's so funny, like, because I think there's a certain power dynamic that comes with working with people who are older than you, right? So when I
Yeah.
worked as a nanny in my 20s, I didn't necessarily share all
Wait,
of
you're
my
not 20 right
knowledge.
now?
I am 35.
You look great.
Thank you.
You look
Thank you.
real good. I mean, I was like, she has to be 25. You
No, I'm
are,
getting up there, friend. I'm getting up there. I'm on the road to 40. But yeah, I never used to be like comfortable sharing my knowledge and asserting that it's going to be okay. Like, trust me was something I never was comfortable saying in my 20s. And now in my 30s, I will tell my bosses in a minute, it's not that deep. We have time. Like, this is what these are the actionable steps that we can take towards this milestone that you're so concerned about. But it will be fine. You can trust me. I got this.
right.
And just really stepping into that in my 30s has been a thing, let me tell you, because again, I say it a lot, but as a
Right.
Black woman in America, it's hard to be right sometimes. It's hard to be assertive and outspoken without
Yeah.
knowing how it's going to be perceived. Because I'm really just
Yeah.
sharing my heart with you, but you may receive it differently.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until my 30s that I was like, listen, I'm just going to have to be myself and share how I feel and give you my full, real personality and hope
Right.
to the Lord that you receive it well. And if you don't receive it well, that you seek me for clarity
Hmm.
and not make assumptions in your head. So it's like
Right.
a whole journey,
Yeah.
whole
And
journey I've been on there.
if I may ask, how is it working with your current family? Do they honor you and in what ways?
They do, it's so I've been with my current family for 7 years. We
Wow.
just had our like 7 year anniversary. And
Congratulations.
thank you. It's been hard. I won't lie.
7 year
It
itch,
is.
huh?
Listen, it's tough to grow with a family, right? Because
Yeah.
they have what they want to do as a family, and all the while your job is evolving, your position is evolving, your function is evolving, and
New babies are being had and
oh my goodness, we had
hmm
we I did not
yeah.
have any babies, but 3 babies in less than 4 years, so it's been pretty nonstop. But we are really in a good place, I think. I'm part-time with them now because the kids are in school, but today I went to like the basketball games, and despite being the only speck of color in there, the kids were excited to see me, and everybody was like,
Yeah.
"Hey, oh my goodness!" Like me and my boyfriend went. But to answer your question, my bosses absolutely listen to me,
Mm,
and they know that if I speak up, it's important. And I think that has really helped our relationship. Like I
mhm.
give them their space to parent the way they parent
Right,
until I feel like, let me help you out here, you know?
right.
And when I do, they're like, all right, got it. Like, thank you, appreciate it. They will tell their kids, you know, what did Amber say? Which is
Mhm.
a huge deal as a nanny. Like, I want to hear that. What did
Yeah,
Amber say?
being
Or it
backed up by
depends,
your
you know,
bosses.
how Amber
Mhm.
feels. And yeah, so we found our groove, definitely. Definitely. And it's part of why I'm like, maybe I'll just stay here forever because that's always, you know,
Yeah,
a variable you don't quite know. You don't quite know how the family that hires you is going to react to you being the expert and them being the novice, even though
yeah,
you are the employee and they are the boss. That doesn't always work well,
right. No, I get it.
unfortunately.
Especially, I think I've experienced it because I don't have any kids. So being questioned on my expertise, or
Same.
I'm
I
not
don't
going to
have
say
any
expertise,
kids.
my experience, when I don't have children, it's just like, I can't tell you where this comes from. I can tell you it's from education. I can tell you it's from my intuition. And
Mhm.
I can also tap in with the kids and understand who they are as individuals. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
just, it's
they will
interesting
throw
being
that
questioned.
card. They'll be like,
Yes. And
and
I,
when have you had kids?"
right. But it's never the families I work with. It's just like the outside opinion. And
Mhm.
so I kind of look at them. I'm like, well, you're not paying me, so I'm not going to discuss this.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, like I've actually gone through this stage of life with 12 children from all different
Mhm.
households and backgrounds with all different personalities. You know, the
Yes.
two people that you created and raised in your home with
Yeah.
your
But how beautiful is it to see the 12 children that
Mhm.
you've literally had a part in playing in their lives, like
Yeah.
expanding their lives, cultivating their lives. Like you've really been so instrumental in that. 12 kids. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
It's crazy.
that's an
It's
accomplishment.
crazy. And that's another thing I love about having stayed at my job for as long as I have because I'm at the point where the kids can express their gratitude to me for my presence. It's not
That's really
just,
helpful.
you know, because when they're younger, it's like the parents may or may not express gratitude,
Right.
may or may not be kind, right? You never know who you're
Right.
working for. And you go through seasons, right? Like sometimes they're stressed at work and overloaded, they don't have anything left for you. But when the kids
Right.
are older and they're like, you're the best nanny or you're my best friend
Hmm.
or, you know, thank you for coming to my game. We popped up
Yeah.
at their basketball games today. Like that just, my heart just swells. It really, really
Yeah.
does.
I love
Why is it
that.
so easy to talk to you, ma'am? Over here
You know.
spilling my guts.
But I love it. This is what it's about, right? Connection and
Yeah.
community. This
Yeah.
is what it's about.
Absolutely.
So I'm always
Absolutely.
tapped in with you.
I appreciate
Always.
you.
I
And
appreciate
I'm
you.
so excited for this book club that we got going on. Do you want to tell the
Yeah,
people about the book club and how they can get involved?
absolutely. So the book club we've just launched. Our first meeting will be February 19th, which is a Monday, but it's subject to change now because I realize that not all nannies have President's Day off.
Oh yeah,
So,
I don't.
got it. So, maybe we can do Sunday if that works. So, I'm still trying to figure out because I really want to be flexible and I want a lot of, nannies to join. And I don't want them to feel like, oh, I have to work. Like, this isn't going to work for me. So, I want them to tell me, hey, like, Sundays at 5 are great, because this is about, again, nannies getting involved, doing the work. So, we have our first book. It's called Break the Cycle by Marielle Bouquet. Dr. Maria Bouquet. I'm absolutely in love with her work and what she does. It talks about intergenerational trauma and healing and breaking the cycle and becoming your own legacy. I think that the book club is really going to be a representation and a symbolization of healing and doing the work in a sacred space with like minded women. And so I thought this would be a perfect, perfect book to kick things off. It's a guide, it has reflections. We're going to do group work reflections, and it's going to be quick, probably like an hour to meet. And I think it's just really going to be an awesome space and a catalyst for change. right? And for growth and development socially, emotionally, mentally. And I just think that it's going to be so beautiful seeing all of our faces on Zoom.
Me
So,
too. I can't wait to be
yeah.
there. My goodness.
Then, so we'll add it to I'm using Literal Club app, which is basically going to you just add or join. I think you have the link, but I'll send it to you. It's in the Black Nanny Network link tree, and then I'll also put it on our Facebook page. So you'll join that, and then I'll have like little notes and stuff of like when we'll meet, and then people that are in the club can also, post or whatever, have questions. And then, I'll send out emails ahead of time for like reflection questions and stuff just to get your brain moving. But they are also included in the book. So we'll see how the first, meeting goes. And yeah, it'll all be on Zoom and everyone's welcome to join. And the book is linked in Amazon on our link tree. I know I'm not an affiliate marketer. So it's there.
Get your book.
Yes. So I'm sorry I'm like spilling over my words, but I just get so excited because I was never a reader growing up. And now I'm a huge reader and an advocate for change and healing. And especially when it talks about intergenerational trauma and childhood wounds and, just really unearthing and unrooting everything that's within us so that we can then create our own legacy and birth an abundant experience. I'm just all for it. And I believe as caregivers, it's our duty to give ourselves that freedom because we carry the weight of a lot of different things. Our families, our work families, our bodies, what we carry is it should be a catalyst for uh, change and excitement and rest and peace, not stress. So I'm going to be working right beside you guys.
Yeah, I'm so excited because it really
Yeah.
is so important. Raising children, I don't care if they're yours or not, I don't care if it's your
Yeah.
job or your home life, raising children will force you to stand face to face with your childhood trauma and some of the things that you've gone through, and
Hmm.
not always in an overt way. A lot of
Yeah.
times it sneaks on in there,
Mhm.
and before you know it, you have reacted based on that and not,
That trigger. Yeah.
yeah, and not objectively. So I think I'm really glad you chose this one. I think it's very
Yay.
important for us to all heal ourselves, and then we can really, really be the best caregivers possible to these kids. So I'm gonna be there. I
Yeah.
don't know about y'all, but
Okay.
I'm gonna be there.
As you
I'm gonna
should,
be
because
in the
now that I
place to
found out
be.
your major, ma'am,
Right,
I
right.
would love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
I'd
Oh,
love to
so
hear your
much.
perspective. So read chapters 1 through 4, and I will put that actually out there this week. But yeah, we'll go probably read chapter 1 through 4. But I think the first meeting will really be to like introduce everybody and go
Yeah.
over the agreements and really honor this as like a safe space and emphasize that, right? And so we will create connection in the first meeting, talk a little bit about the book, and then see where everybody's at. But it feels like a quick read to me, but I
Mhm.
really want to be able to do the work with you guys and dive into the reflections. And she actually has a guide for book clubs. So we'll utilize that as well.
With it. I can't wait. Cannot wait.
And the book
And
club's free. So no need to grab it for
everything
$10.
is
Everything's
free,
free.
guys. It's
I don't believe
free.
nannies should pay.
Not
So
other nannies for sure. Like,
mm-mm. I
but
don't
that's a
care
whole
if you
nother
make
topic.
or 25. I don't believe that nannies should pay
Yeah,
for
I'm with you on
resources
that.
that they need.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. And so to wrap things up, I don't know how we got
Yeah.
to the end here so quickly, but I would like to give you an opportunity, Simone, to share your why. And it can be, I know you shared why you started the Black Nanny Network, but just society will tell us that we don't have a choice but to be here, that we do this work because we are incapable of doing anything else. And so I would like to give you the opportunity to share why you choose the nanny life every single day.
Oh, that's a really beautiful question. I chose nannying because I believe that it's an honor to be a part of childhood experiences and to be a part of a family who welcomes a diverse opinion and outside perspective and trusts me to help them raise beautiful human beings. It feels very rewarding, and I live in gratitude with that. I think that's my why.
That's a good one. I like that. And can I just say, your spirit matches your mission, and that is a breath of fresh air for me to witness. So I just wanted
Thank
to
you.
share that with you. I feel so
I'm going
relaxed,
to write that
and
down in my journal and be like, my
it
spirit
does.
matches my mission. That was a really beautiful affirmation for me.
It
Thank
does.
you for
It
that.
really, really does. This has been really, really good for me. I hope it's been good for you. I
It's
can't
been
believe this
great
is
for
your
me.
first. How is this your first time doing a podcast? You're a natural.
Well, hopefully not the last, but thank you. And I just feel like my best friend today was like, girl, like it's time to get nervous again. You know what I mean? It's like without discomfort and the butterflies, there's no growth. So for
Mhm.
me, I was like, all right, Simone, like it's time to get nervous again. And I was nervous to get on this podcast, but it was such a beautiful experience. And to think about like the next one or our next meeting and our next conversation, like just to witness the growth and the change and the opportunity. Thank you so much for allowing me on your platform and to speak my truth and to be honest and to still celebrate my stumbles if I spoke over my words or said the wrong word. You know what I mean? Like you still are smiling through it and cheering us on, like, go ahead, girl, finish that sentence. And so I
Yeah.
really, really, really appreciate you for giving us a space to do something like this, right? It feels like a huge opportunity to me. And, not only are you manifesting something bigger, but me being a part of this, I feel like I'm manifesting something bigger. So thank you for adding to the body of work that is not out and published. And just thank you.
That's my mission, man. I think so often we talk about what we do, but we don't talk enough about how we feel and how we live and how we push through. And I think it's important. So this space is really for nannies to share their heart with other nannies, honestly. And
Yeah.
whoever else encounters it along the way, love that for them. But this is a space for us. It's by us. And I hope everyone feels seen and heard and understood even a little bit
Yes.
better, with each passing episode. So yay, I'm so glad we
Yes.
did this.
Me
And
too.
I wanna
I thank you.
Yeah, were you gonna say something else? I wanna cut you
Just
off.
thank you.
Well, you're welcome, friend. And I want to thank you, listeners, for tuning into another episode of A Nanny's Life podcast. It is not lost on me what it takes to spend time listening to us and chatting with us. And like I said, I really hope you felt seen, heard, understood in this conversation. And I hope you have a beautiful week ahead and make sure to take care of yourself as well as, if not better than, you take care of everyone else. All right? Y'all be easy. Bye.
This is my life, y'all.